Let's bring in Fast Money friend Gene Munster of Loop Ventures for more reaction to Tesla's numbers. And I believe, Gene, you've been a longtime bull and still are on Tesla. What'd you make of the numbers?
Well, Sarah, there's the near term and the long term. In the near term, it was negative. Obviously, that miss on the gross margin, it was worse than expected. And I was conservative going into it. It still missed those numbers. And I think that that is going to play into how investors process this quarter. Ultimately, I think this comes out, the stock trades down over the next few weeks as investors really start to wrap their head around what Dan is talking about, this production number for the back half of the year. And so just to frame it in as clearly as possible, I'm positive on Tesla. This was a negative quarter. There were a lot of headwinds that they had, and I want to just add a piece that they had a tailwind related to gross margins, and that did not offset some of the impact on gross margins. And so when I think you put it together, you need to be realistic here. And ultimately, the question comes down to these issues that have impacted this pressure point around gross margins. Are they transitory? Are they something that the company can work through? My sense is it will take a couple quarters to get through these. So we start to need to think about 2023 in terms of when we start to really see some lift on the margin side. And I just want to quickly frame in why that matters. Why are we talking so much about auto gross margin, ex EV credits? I'm a believer that Tesla is a tech company. And that belief is based on a margin profile similar to other tech companies. So to the extent that they can perform on that and continue to expand margins, kind of bodes my case for this being valued more like a tech company. And the reverse is happening right now for understandable reasons. But I think when you put this together, it was a headwind for this quarter. It doesn't change my belief. And I would just leave the thought, I'm still bullish on Tesla because I think they can't keep up with demand. And I think that's ultimately, they may or may not hit that back half of the year number because of production issues, but they're going to continue to gain share.
Nobody here believes you or agrees with you on the bullish call.
But you've made a great call. Gene, it's Karen. Let me just ask you about this gross margin issue. Do you think that part of the solution or the expansion of gross margin comes from a higher sticker price? Or do you think they're going to be able to operate more efficiently?
It's the efficiency piece. There's been essentially 3 different headwinds that they've had on the gross margin. One, of course, was the shutdown of Shanghai. That's just a huge headwind. There's the FX impact of that, and then also costs related to ramping Berlin and Austin. And so I think that, again, it was more of a negative impact than I was expecting it. This is a negative. This wasn't just about a lot of bad things thrown at Tesla. It was worse than what I had expected. But I do believe that over the next 6 months, they're going to work through a lot of these, and we're going to start to see a revision higher in terms of gross margin.
So, Gene, it's Tim. So the street, I think, is around 1.35 million units to the year. Tesla's numbers up 60% imply about 1.5. If you look at where they could be with Texas and Berlin, if you look at annual capacity, is there a surprise to the upside? Again, I think consensus is below even where Tesla has guided. Where are you?
I think that over the next 6 months, there's probably more risk to the numbers, to those delivery numbers, in part because essentially they're gonna have to re-accelerate pretty significant, or not significantly, but it needs to be just slightly above 50% for the back half of the year. And we're still coming out of these shutdowns, and we're still just in the phases of ramping Berlin. And so I think that I want to be clear is that I think the next 6 months, there can be some softness to these delivery numbers because it all comes down to how the world is going to, I guess, align for them to produce more. But I think what's more important is just that the market has a flashlight that looks into 2023. I think we forget that when we get our heads wrapped around these quarterly earnings. The question for me is not about what the margins are this quarter, what they're going to be next quarter, what the deliveries are next quarter. It's more what are they going to be in 2023. And I think 2023, we're going to see expanding margins and separately deliveries that are going to be in that 50% plus better range.
I'm sort of surprised to see the stock up, given what you're saying, although it is fluctuating between up and down. Gene Munster, thank you very much. You'll keep us posted, please, with any details from the call. Last word, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just the lack of visibility. I think that Elon has a whole host of reasons, and I think as it relates to his deal with Twitter to kind of make sure this stock doesn't fall out of bed. If this stock falls material out of bed, he has a hard time coming up with the equity to get that deal done if he's forced to do it in the trial in October.
The analysts never ask about Twitter. They never ask the good questions.
Well, they should also ask, hey, if any of you analysts, why did Larry Ellison quietly leave the board a couple weeks ago on a Friday afternoon? And no one in the press, none of the analysts have asked about that. That was his big buddy there on the board. So I think that's a reasonable
Well, there's a lot of
ask.
turnover on the entire team. They lost their head of AI. They've lost other key execs. So, yeah, I mean, clearly not everyone's in love with Elon.
And I know the Bitcoin sideshow, but I still think it's interesting that he said we're never going to sell Bitcoin, and now they sold it, and they would have been cash flow negative without
Well,
it.
he was going to buy, remember,
Are we surprised?
funding secured, 420 for Tesla.
Well, he didn't do that either.
Right.
Yeah.
He is a liar.